Now, are we going back to the future? Or are we going back to stupidity? Because the iPhone 5 has been released, and I've got one here. It might as well be, because it's about as fucking shit. No innovations. No fucking innovations. Yeah? Let's find out why. I've got a nice little list here, and I'm going to start reading you out all that I've written. This is all the stuff that tells you why you don't want to buy an iPhone 5. So, literally, are we going back to the future? Or, well, actually, we're going back to the fucking past, because this stupid fucking phone doesn't seem to have very much going for it. So let's find out what exactly is going on. Retina display. For all of you that have been told that this wonderful high-resolution display on the Apple iPhone, retina, you know, it's like a new word, retina display. You see, retina, like the retina of your eye. So apparently Apple say that, you know, you can see 300 dots per inch. That's all the human eye can see. Bollocks, because, you know, 300 dots per inch is at a set distance. Okay, so you can't measure that, because if I move it away, then I can see more pixels in there. But if I move it close, and provided I've got glasses on, your 300 dpi doesn't mean anything. It means at a set distance. So it's 300 dots per inch at a set distance. But anyway, let's get away from the technical, scientific fucking reasons why they shouldn't be telling us that we see 300 dpi. The old iPhone, the very first one, the 3, so had some like 300 by 480 screen. It was fucking shit, yeah. So the iPhone 4 went up to 900 by 480. Okay, now the new iPhone 5 has a whopping great 1136 by 640. Now, I don't know anybody that's ever heard of that resolution. So Apple have decided to use a completely non-standard resolution. Nice one, Apple. Why's that then, old chap? Yeah, so they decided to cram, you know, this whopping great, you know, sort of amount of stuff into this small size screen. It's not a very big size screen, not as big as the Samsung S3. Oh, we'll come back to that in a second. But it's got 300 dots per inch. It's a retina display. Anyway, we'll switch to the Samsung. Okay, Samsung S3, it's got a 1280 by 720 versus the iPhone's 1136 by 640. So that's 1280 over 1136. Yeah. So it's a bigger, higher resolution screen. It's got more pixels on it. Plus it's bigger than the iPhone. Okay, if that wasn't good enough for you, guess what? They don't boast about having a retina display. Retina display, it's got 300 dots per inch. Guess what? Samsung's by default has 350 fucking dots per inch. Oh, my fucking eye's starting to twitch now because I... Yeah, right, okay. The Samsung also has a much more advanced type of screen. It uses AMOLED panels, which are active matrix organic light emitting diodes, which do not need a backlight in order to produce colour. So they can basically use available light to actually light up. And the Samsung's screen, because it's more advanced, has a faster refresh rate. So better for playing games. Okay. Apple's new iPhone 5 has a problem in finding applications because the iOS operating system basically can't find things based on your word selections. It used to be able to, so you could type in, I want an application that can tell me how to, you know, have a wank. Yes, and it would go, here's the application. They've got rid of that now. They've got a new thing called Chomp. And Chomp basically just goes, well, do you know, these are the highest rated programs, even if they're not the ones you're looking for. These are the highest rated ones, so even though you wanted to have a wank, why don't you have a Bible? You know? So that's a bit fucking stupid. Anyway, as I say, this is all stuff that is basically driving the iPhone back in time. So, what about the talk time? The iPhone 3 had 8 hours talk time. The iPhone 4 had 7 hours talk time. But here we go, the iPhone 5, you know, obviously trying to improve upon this, now has 6.5 hours of talk time. So they've gone from 8 to 7 to 6.5. So this isn't getting better, is it, Apple? Okay, you know, it's not like we're going backwards in time. It's like we're going back, you know, backwards in fucking logic. Anyway, voice and data at the same time. If you're making a phone call, the most of the old sort of phones used to be able to do voice and data at the same time. Apple decided to take it out of the iPhone 5. They've removed it. It can't do voice and data at the same time. It all happened because of a grump they had on with some of the US carriers. Some could do it, some couldn't do it. So rather than keep it in there for the some that could do it, Apple said we'll just remove it from all of them. So none of them will do it. And by the way, HTC and Samsung phones do have voice and data available at the same time. So, back to the fucking past. Anyway, there's been reported problems of Yahoo Mail. It's not syncing up, so that doesn't work. Not a very good place to put the music, but anyway. The Galaxy S3 has a quad-core A9 processor. Remember A9 now, A9, okay? It's 1.4 gigahertz times 4 cores, which gives you a total of 5.6 gigahertz. 5.6 gigs is pretty fast, yeah? Okay, that's faster than a lot of people's laptops that they carry around with them. The Apple A5 processor, which used to be in the old 4S, was a 1-core, 800 megahertz, okay? So let's have a look now. 5.6 gigahertz, that's 5,600 versus 800 on the Apple. That's the speeds we're talking about, the processors running at, okay? So there is just no comparison with the old 4S. But the Apple A6 processor, which is now used in the iPhone 5, it now has 1 gigahertz dual core. So it's got 2 gigahertz speed. So let's compare this now. Galaxy S3, you know, it's got the A9 processor. It's 1.4 gigahertz times 4. That's 5.6 gigahertz. So that's 5,600 megahertz. Yeah, versus Apple's 2,000. So 5,600 versus 2,000. Okay. There have been some reports that some of the iPhones have actually got a 1.3 gigahertz processor in them, which would take you up a total of 2.6. But 2.6 versus 5.6 means that it's half the speed of the Galaxy S3. So, back to the future! Anyway, the maps are missing. Google Maps are missing off the new iPhone and the new iOS. So anybody who updates their old iPhone to iOS 6, bye-bye Maps. Yeah. Why did Apple decide to do this? Because they had a tantrum with Google. They don't like Google because Google is very popular and Google is very big. So, basically, they wanted to have the features and functions of the new turn navigation system, which Google has. And this turn navigation system basically reads out like a TomTom. It just says turn left, turn right, you know, turn coming up ahead in 1 mile, blah blah blah, you know, turn navigation. And Apple wanted to have this in the new iPhone 5, and Google said fine, you can have it, but all we want from you is that when you start the maps it just says Google as the program starts, just so that people know that they're getting it from Google, because they don't know that so far. Yes. And Apple said, no, if we've got to put an advert, a branding, if we've got to put a branding on your bit of software so that people know it's come from you, we don't want it at all. We'll do our own then. We'll do our own. Fuck it. Rip it out. And they ripped it out and they put their own unbelievably out of date, fucked up map system in there, which they hurried. And because they hurried it, it's got faults, it's got places in the wrong place, it's got roads missing, and the data is at least 8 years old. For people who live in the UK, Woolworths, which went bankrupt about 7 or 8 years ago, is still on the streets of the UK in the iPhone 5. Okay, America, couldn't tell you, but this is the problem we've been getting. You know, it's the same problem in all places, you know, and it's going to take a long time to get fixed. Apple have said, well, you know, if the users report errors to us, we'll fix them as we get told. So rather than providing a working product up front, they're waiting for you to tell them what's wrong with it before they'll fix it. Now, do you know how long it took Google to get their map system working right? It took them about 7 years. And, you know, if Apple think that their customers are going to wait 7 fucking years for them to catch up, I don't think so. I think there's going to be a lot of fucking shit with this maps problem on the iPhone 5. And I mean, if you're an iPhone 4 user, then why upgrade to the 5? What is the difference? And some people said, oh, it's got a better camera. It hasn't got a better camera. It's still the same resolution. It's the same resolution. It's just a different type of camera that's in there. And some people have said, oh, well, that's going to be much better. It's going to be a brilliant camera because it's a new camera. It's the same resolution. It ain't going to be much better. It's the same fucking resolution. They didn't make the resolution of the front camera any better, you know, and it's still the same type of camera on the back, you know. They could have introduced anti-shake functions, but they didn't. You know, and as somebody pointed out the other day, now it's got panorama. It can take photos in panorama now. And as the user pointed out, you know, their HTC's been able to do that for like 4 years. So, you know, well done, Apple. Catching up at last, aren't we? But then again, Apple don't mind that because it's Back to the fucking future. So, there's a new patent out from Apple, and this is going to blow your fucking mind because the bottom line is Apple have got a patent to disable the phone camera on your iPhones, okay? And it'll work on all the iOS 6 phones. It's the new software that's included in the phone. They can disable your camera, and guess what? Where it does it? It does it in certain locations because they track your GPS location all the time. Didn't you know that? Oh, you bought an iPhone, did you? You didn't realise they track your locations at all times, so they can tell where you were browsing, what you were looking at, what you were doing, and now they've got the patent which you've signed up for when you buy your fucking phone. You're buying into this, that they can disable your camera when they want to. Apple can do it, and government agencies can do it. So guess what? The new buzzword is Apple are Big Brother, because Apple can decide when you can take photos of protests or not, or whether you can take photos of places in Washington or not, or military bases, or things that they don't want you to see. Yeah, Apple are going to be now sticking their puppet's fist right up your fucking arse when you use that phone, and deciding what you can and can't photograph. And basically, this is basically going back to like 1984. So definitely back to the future. If you remember the old Apple adverts, that said, Big Brother is around us, and it had like walls and people with shaved heads and sort of like looking very dour and black and white, and it had some woman running down between all the sort of people standing there, in lines like sort of brainwashed masses, and it had some sort of woman with colour on running down, and then she I think she pole vaulted into the air and smashed through these TV screens, Big Brother TV screens. And this was the advert for Apple, right? And basically, they were saying like 1984 is a bad thing. So use Apple because, you're breaking through the barriers. You're breaking through the bullshit. You're breaking through. Hey, I tell you what, everybody is saying, because of this fucking patent to turn the cameras off, Apple is Big Brother. Apple is 1984. Apple is 1984 more than any other fucking company out there. So definitely, back to the fucking future. Apple. Yeah, right, okay. So, there's nothing changed in the design from the 4, 4S and 5. Nothing's actually changed. The 3 was different looking, and it was quite small. And, then the 4 became big and chunky. And then the 4S was still the same size. And now the 5 is taller, but a little bit lighter. But hang on a minute, that's only going back to where the 3 was, because the 3 was really fucking light and small, yeah, and now it's like, oh look, but we make them fat, and then we can make them smaller again later on and tell you that we've actually given you something fucking, you know, something better for you, you know, so, and there's a feature called near field communications, which all the mobile phone communications companies have put this in their devices. And NFC is called near field communications. It's basically the thing you get in a smart card. You know, you get a little smart card, it has a chip in there, and it has a little icon, and you can pay for things by wandering up to a counter or in a shop, walking up to the checkout, holding your card up, and it will automatically take the payment. Now, I personally don't like the thought of that, because it means that people can use this to track you in more places. Even if you've got your phone turned off, it'll track you because it can pick up the RFID. But some people like that sort of stuff, yeah? And whether you like it or not, you won't be able to have it in the iPhone 5 because they pulled it out. All the other manufacturers have got it in their phones, right? All of them, yes? Apple decided, no, users, we're deciding for you, you don't want this. And it's like, fuck's sake. So, you know, it's back to the back to the future again. Back 20 years to when phones had less features. It's Apple, back to the fucking future. So, all I can say is this has been a very long Apple rant. I hope it's helped you to understand that the new iPhone 5 is nothing fucking special. Nothing fucking special at all. Only thing it is a way to extract more money out of you for things that are going to tell you are better than it was before, when in fact, like the Retina display, is actually lower resolution and lower DPI than the fucking Samsung. So you know what you should be getting, but you won't fucking do that because you all love your fucking iPhones. iPhone, and fuck off.